Brothers and sisters, we're celebrating the feast of the baptism of the Lord here in Rome anyway. I know some of you might celebrate it tomorrow on Monday. Yesterday we had the Epiphany. Just one thing based on yesterday, I raised this question. A very holy nun friend of mine, an older nun, who I call Granny Joe, an amazing sister, religious sister of the North Presentation Sisters living in Cork. She sent me an email. She said, "Oh, I loved your reflection, and you said something though about you don't know the way to heaven." And then she kind of said, "But I know the way to heaven. It's love. It's Christ." So of course, yesterday when I said that, of course I didn't mean that we don't know at all the way to heaven. And it got me thinking. Her email to me got me thinking, and thinking about just seeing it in a very positive way today, and I'll tie into the Feast of Baptism. But yes, in that sense, with Jesus, thankfully, we now know the way to heaven. And with Christ, he knows how to bring us there. And that road to heaven is love. And as love is taught to us, we need to be educated about how to love. It's not just our feelings, our intuitions, our nice emotions, but love is an education. We need to be tutored in the ways of love by love himself, by wisdom himself, by truth himself, by God. And that is the love of which is revealed in the life of Christ in the most incredible way, and in his gospel, in his teachings, in his wisdoms. And Jesus continues to teach us through the church, through the Holy Spirit. Jesus is alive in the church. Remember, the church is a living organism of Jesus' body. Jesus is alive in the church, and the Spirit is its organizing principle. His Spirit is driving the church. So that's why we shouldn't be afraid of sometimes a lot of the confusion right now, in so many ways. A very particular time we're living in. Lots of confusion in people's minds about the church and about what does the church teach and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, church remains in the hands of Jesus Christ. And because it's his body, it's not just like in his hands, actually, it's his body. He's united to his church. And this brings us to the theme of baptism. Well, baptism is what puts us, you could say, on that road to heaven. It's the doorway into Jesus' body. Jesus, from the cross and from his resurrection, has created a whole new way of being. It's a new creation. And this new creation exists in the old creation. It's like St. Paul says that this treasure is kept in earthenware vessels. And so this calls for faith. Believers, God gives us an inward revelation by the power of the Holy Spirit through the gift of faith, and love and hope, to know this to be true. It's primarily through faith that we know this truth, and it's illumination by grace of our minds, by the inward infused knowledge of the Holy Spirit to us about the truths of our faith. It's a wisdom that you cannot just acquire only by hard work. And even if you do that, it still requires faith to believe in that wisdom that you're acquiring by studying the gospel, studying the theologies, etc., to actually enter into the mystery, to enter into what that wisdom really is. You need faith and you need love. It's more than just faith. You need love as well, because love brings its own knowledge to with faith. Love brings us to wisdom, which is, you could say, the highest knowledge that faith can bring us to, is this wisdom I've been talking about. And so in baptism, the early church, we could read in many of the early writings of church fathers, like 100, 200 years after Christ, and they see baptism as an illumination. That always used to, strike me. Why is it an illumination? But they understood that a child or an adult received the secret wisdom of light into the soul by grace to illuminate the mind, to help the mind to believe what Jesus has revealed to us. Jesus has these secrets, these truths, these pearls of great wisdom that he does not just cast with swine. He said that, don't cast your treasures with swine. It's there, But it takes humility, it takes an openness to the grace of faith to really grasp what he's actually saying. He preached in broad daylight to people, but to understand what he's saying takes faith. It takes the grace of faith, and it takes an openness to the action of the Holy Spirit. Now, this begins in baptism. But baptism actually unites us to Jesus Christ so that we could receive this new life, which is grace, to receive the new light of the kingdom. Baptism changes us, brothers and sisters. It's not just a ritual. It changes us and allows us to live in a supernatural mode, you could say, with Christ. Still human, still a creature, but now changed, transformed, elevated to live at a new pitch, a new wavelength, a God's wavelength. And so our prayers have power now in a specific way. And of course, the baptism flourishes in incredible ways. We see it in the saints. So maybe when our prayers have done miraculous things, or, as I said, we see in the saints, we see baptism alive. Baptism changes us. It makes a difference.